Ellie is the Hawaiian goddess of the volcano, and Tori Amos recorded her latest album in a church in Ireland, and here is why. She says, I went back to the church to claim the passionate part of my womanhood that I had been convinced by the church was wrong. The idea of speaking my truth, no censorship in a place that did not honor anyone's truth, unless it was the church's truth, was something that I was going after. If you want to find out more about Tori Amos's new record, Sukin Lee is interviewing her next Monday, the 29th of January at 3:30 p.m. She's going to be in here to talk about it. This is her latest video, Cut, Light, Sneeze, Tori Amos.
Got it? Okay, we're going to be hearing from a whole bunch of UK bands. Oasis, hearing from a whole bunch of UK bands. Oasis with their smash hit Wonderwall, and Love and Rockets, who copied their name from the alternative comic book by the Hernandez brothers. That was the original Love and Rockets. So Alive, and Pulp, Common People. Stay tuned for Tori Amos.
Tonight on Much Music. Stars come out for the 1995 Brit Awards tonight on the Much Music Big Ticket.
And welcoming Tori Amos to the environment. Okay, so you know what? We couldn't fit the piano in here. So shall we go down to the big, beautiful studio down the hallway?
You lead.
Okay,
yeah.
Here we go. Come on. Now, I was going to ask you some questions later on about your album. And is it true that it sort of there are some references, inspiration from Mary Magdalene?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. She kind of became like a blueprint for me to follow, mainly because when I was growing up, she was such a taboo. The idea that she was the baddie.
Right.
The hidden one. All her deeds were really, really hidden. She was the whore. And as I started to...
Oh, Randy just banged into the wall when you said whore. He went boom.
Yeah, my dad would have probably banged into the wall too. But I didn't think that they were right when they said that. It just didn't feel right to me.
Well, it's interesting too. If you look at like the Bible, nowhere, it's sort of almost tradition. They mentioned the three wise men. But nowhere in the Bible does it say there were three guys, and nowhere in the Bible does it actually say that Mary was a prostitute, but it becomes like folklore, tradition, like people go, oh, she...
And a lot of scholars say that it wasn't that at all, but she was this wise woman, actually, who was sensual and had different powers. But I just had a hard time with that upbringing, believing that.
Hey, oh my God, where are we?
Hi, guys. How are you? Hi.
Hey. Well, Tori, there is the piano, and you can get yourself comfortable first. And let's take a look at one of your videos so that we have some time for you to get set. So this is Tori Amos, Caught a Light, Sneeze On, and stay tuned for Tori.
Never been hit. 32 years.
Okay, we're here with Tori Amos talking about how this has never fallen down.
Not on my head.
Phew,
No,
thank goodness
yet.
for that.
That's good, eh? Some people think it would be good if it did, but it hasn't yet,
Make a good sound, I think. Very dramatic.
Yeah.
So you have the new album out, Boys for Pele. And Pele is the Hawaiian goddess of the volcano?
Yeah.
And so what is the fire metaphor for there?
It's really like an energy force. Not just passion, but it's that feeling that, for whatever reason, I thought the men in my life at the time had a certain access to something that I couldn't access. Not as a musician, I could access certain things, but when I wasn't behind a piano, I looked for my woman's worth through the men in my life. And I don't know, maybe I thought they had, don't ask me, access to womanhood that I didn't for whatever reason. And I think they had their own womanhood
if you know what I mean, their own feminine experience, but I couldn't find mine.
So almost like a mirror reflection through men, you were able to, or you thought, the illusion was you were tapping into your power.
Also a bit of a vampire. I mean, you know, I was after boy blood. Yeah, true. For a while. I mean, I'm not anymore.
So that's something that, like, your work has always sort of had an autobiographical sort of internal dialogue feel. It's interesting to see throughout the albums your progression and the things that you're learning. Now, we were talking about the Virgin Mary and how, or Mary Magdalene, I'm sorry, the biblical character, very different from Virgin Mary.
A little different.
Yeah, a little different, Mary Magdalene. Now, what was that you were sort of inspired by Mary?
What began to happen was I was crawling on my knees at a certain point after my separation with a soulmate. And as I tried to bring these different men to fill this space, and it wasn't their fault. They couldn't fill this, you know, just like I couldn't have filled it for them. But as I was trying to fill this space, and it all went horribly wrong, and I felt pretty degraded. I'm sure you all know what that feels like. And you just kind of go, where am I going to find this thing, this flame? And as I started to kind of uncover stones, I went and visited the medicine women. And they had me kind of look to the fact that in Christianity, the Magdalene, she was the whore. She was never passed down as a blueprint. And in truth, many scholars believed that she was a high priestess.
Yes, exactly.
Who was sensual and had her passion and her wisdom and was much more of an equal to Jesus.
Yeah, the sacred prostitute, the whole notion before she was cast down.
Yes, that she was truly in her own right. You know, not the idea of the Virgin Mary or the Mother Mary, but what about Mary, the woman, in her own right, who might have shared a lot with Jesus, you know, possibly, but also had her own beingness. And that was never passed down as a blueprint to woman. And I think so many people have been fragmented, guys too, because you're always, you know, looking for these fragments. So I started to pull these different sides of woman in.
Now, boys for Pele, then you would theoretically think that these are boys for powerful women. Is that right?
Really it was the gifts that the men had brought me to my fire. And if I'm really honest, it's what they gave, and in some cases didn't give. You know, sometimes, thank God, they didn't keep it going. I mean, some of them said, basically, no more blood, Tori. And that way it forced me to have to be on my own. It forced me to find it in myself, and it's changed my whole relationship with men. So people say, you know, is this your male sacrifice record? I'm like, well, you know, I had 5 minutes of that thought, where it's just, they looked really cute if I pushed them over, I thought. But then after you get through that, after you work through that hurt, because, you know, if you're hurt, you want to hurt back at first, but it became much different than that, much more of a gift by the end.
Okay, let's hear a song, and we'll come back and chat and stuff. So this is the Doughnut song you're going to play?
Yeah, I think she's coming.
The Doughnut song you're going to play?
Yeah, I think she's coming.
And a kick and you must never gain weight from a Doughnut. Oh, then thought that I could decipher your message. There's no one here, dear, no one at all. If I'm wasting all your time, this time. I think you never learned to take. And if I'm hanging on to your side, I guess I'm way beyond the pale. Hey, and southern men can grow good, can grow pretty, blood can be pretty like a delicate man. A copper to steer to a hinge that is full to that lets you in, lets you in, lets you in. If I'm wasting all your time this time, I said you never learned to take. And if I'm hanging on to your side, I guess I'm way beyond the pale. You can tell me it's over, yes, and it's over, yeah. You can tell me over, you shoulder. You can tell me it's over. You can, yes, hey, hand me a trick and a kick and your message. You'll never gain weight from a doughnut.
Your own power, and the fact is, to a lot of men, a powerful woman is threatening. Do you find resistance to your work? Very much resistance.
But not just by men. I find resistance to women that don't want to claim their
own.
Yeah, but the vulnerability side, the feminine, where a lot of power is. Some of the women that really are into their anger trip, and I really respect that there's a time and a place for anger. But you know, I could have guys, jugglers by my heel, no problem a few years ago. Or then I'd be like bringing them jelly beans. It was an extreme behavior, always trying to make up one side or the other instead of just going, okay.
Here I am.
Here I am, and you are not my father, you are not the guy that raped me, you are not anybody else, let's just base it on this. Yeah.
And your decision to self-produce, this is the first time around?
It's the first time.
And what led to that choice to eliminate other
I was
producers?
just ready, you know? I was ready to kind of make mistakes and take that on. It was as if, I think, I don't know, I kind of said, I'm not going to beat myself up if I make wrong choices. I'll just change it, and I'm ready. I know enough music. It was more of a confidence level of taking, I worked with over 70 musicians on this record, and loads of crew, and on location for 4 months. And sometimes I really did some ding-a-ling things. But more than anything, I mean, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's not so bad to make mistakes.
Sure, it's like a shedding of different layers, and for better or for worse, you take control of it, and sort of this is a direct
That's
expression.
right.
Whatever it is, if you're happy with it or not, it just stands on its own. I like the way that a lot of the recording of your vocal is like you have the mic placed right inside your mouth, and you can hear the spit going all over and mouth sounds and stuff.
Well, sometimes it's very yummy Chardonnay you hear going in my mouth.
Rolling over the tongue.
The thing, though, is my engineers. I had an amazing team. There's no question. I didn't do this alone. And I really relied heavy on my tech crew. My live guys recorded this, and they constructed a box so that the box was this length and this wide and this tall. And I would live in this box every day. I'd walk in, and I kind of felt like, you know, Hansel and Gretel, the both of them getting fattened up, just waiting to be baked, because they would leave me here. And there was a hole in the box for the Bösendorfer. It's okay, I know you're a Steinway. Yeah, there was a hole for her. That's my piano, and there was a hole for the double manual, the harpsichord here, and I played them like this, and the mic was here, and there were no windows or anything.
Wow!
And what happened was it allowed each instrument, this, and the harpsichord, to have its own environment. And the instruments used the church as one of the instruments, because the microphones very much became the ambience of the church on the harpsichord. In truth, my voice is louder than the harpsichord, so we had to do that. Because I cut everything live. I didn't cut them separate.
Is that right, Anne? I want to talk about the cover images, your album art. So on the front, you're toting a rifle, you just bagged a turkey, you've got a snake around your chair, and your piano's on fire.
Yeah.
So what?
Busy girl.
Yeah, busy. Is this like you as a pioneer, or what is this image evoking?
Well, there is my Granny Clampett, I guess, in there somewhere, but
hillbilly.
I grew up in the South. My whole family's from there. There are also a lot of references, though. That's a dead cock. Yes, it's true.
All right, the dead cock. That's right.
But guys, hang in there. There's a live snake. So that's good. And it was really about the gun is a reference to me and a gun.
Yes.
And everything is about the crossroads. Because again, it's the relationships with men that have brought me to this wonderful place. Not everything in those relationships have been wonderful, but it's about transmuting them, you know, and it's about the gift. And sometimes I had to get myself out of them to understand what what my part in it was too. I mean, there are no bad guys or no good guys in this record. I'm not like the wonderful person and they're terrible, or vice versa. They're just different times when we do different things to each other. And if you turn the back of the CD, she's put the gun down.
Oh yeah.
And she's holding a pig.
Right.
So it's really about transformation, even though there are strange things all around her. She's not afraid to look at them, and that's what we tried to get across in the photograph.
Oh, interesting, because I hadn't, looked at that, explored that. But it's a little story.
Yeah.
And of course, the show-stopping image. You're breastfeeding a little piglet.
Yeah.
And what was the story behind that?
Well, it's like, to me, there's so much shame, you know, in sensuality, especially from the feminine side. I mean, I think women have so much shame about their bodies, their sensuality, the hidden. And the pig really represents, I mean, not fornicating with animals, but more the hidden, you know, what we don't look at. Because while it was happening, it fell asleep. It was not, it wasn't a sexual feeling. It was very much like motherhood. It was kind of it kind of touched me. It wasn't like, it's not the same feeling as I see, you know, gorgeous gams walking down in a theater. That's a whole different feeling when I think of a calf, and it's like popsicle to me. I don't think of that when I'm breastfeeding the pig. It was much more of nurturing these things that are ugly, nurturing these things that I thought were bad, and I couldn't tell anybody, and if I did, I was in trouble.
Yeah, it's interesting. A friend of mine had just gave birth to her first child, and she's like, "Oh, these are what these are for. This is what they're for." And then we were talking about, yeah, why? I wonder why men have nipples. This is totally off the topic, but why do men have nipples?
I don't know, but I'm glad they do. I mean, it's about this, the whole shame thing. It's just something I've been working through, because people say, you know, there's so much sex, and I'm like, it's not about sex. It's about, I don't know, so simple. Sometimes when I have a new sweetheart, and just the way he butters his corn, just sometimes I'll go, I don't know, it gets me. And it's so much in the day that makes you want to be close to somebody, something they've said, or just the way that they crashed their little model airplane, and you know it's their paycheck for a week. That kind of thing just gets me going.
Well, I think we're going to... Are you ready to play a song?
Yeah, I think I am.
Do you know which one?
No, I don't, but I will.
Which one?
No, I don't, but I will. Can turn the piano off in my, because I think it's what's making the... Good. Okay. Don't know who's coming, which one is coming down those airways. Better be quick now, she said, like an airplane. Gotta love to turn my little blue world upside down. Don't you love to turn this little blue world upside down? Inside my head the noise, chatter, 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 chatter. You see, I'm afraid I'll always be still coming out of my mother upside down. Don't you love to turn this little blue girl upside down? Oh, I know you love to turn this little blue girl, baby, upside down. But my heart, it says you've been shattered, 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 shattered. And I know you're still a boy, still coming out of your mother. But when you're gonna stand on your own, I say the world is sick. You say, tell me what that makes us, darling. You see, you always find my faults faster than you find your own. I said the world is getting rid of her demons. I said, baby, what have you been smoking? Well, I dreamed, I dreamed, I dreamed I loved a black boy. My daddy would scream, ooh, yes, upside down. So we turn and we turn our little blue world upside down. Inside my head a voice, a chatter, 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 chatter. And it says, girl, you're all the same, still coming out of your mother
still coming out of your mother's upside down. You, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Tori. Thank you.
We off?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, we're off. Thank you, guys.
Puzzled over the images in the